Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Friday edition of Proline Daily, America's longest-running sports handicapping show, direct from Las Vegas. Jim Feist is here. I'm Dave Cokin. NBA, we've got a Game 6 tonight, which hopefully will be better than the Game 6 last night. And full schedule in baseball as well. Jim, another NBA winner last night for you. Spurs Rockets under 9-2, the current NBA run, and 112-66 on 178 NBA plays.
It's been sweet. I wonder, Dave, do these players, when they decide not to show up, do they give a refund to the team on their checks, or they still collect their money?
Well, they ought to donate it to charity at least, because that was unbelievable. We'll talk about that. What do you got tonight?
Well, I got a Major League Baseball Road Warrior Route of the Year tonight. It's $79 at jimfeist.com. And like Dave said, I've been doing extremely well. Now I'll have that along with a 3-pack of baseball plays, all three for $29. You want to win? Get on board with me at jimfeist.com.
You know, I never, obviously, we're in a business where we want to boost up the superlatives and not talk as much about the negatives, but I have to talk about last 2 days, actually. I went 0-3 in baseball yesterday. It was my first really bad day of the season. This is an amazing stat. Absolutely amazing. I don't think I've ever seen this before. My last 3 closers, and I'll put that in quotes, this is 3 games over 2 days. My last 3 closers have come into the 9th inning. They've recorded a total of 3 outs, 1/3 of an inning each, and gave up 11 runs.
No, really?
Unbelievable. So I basically went from 3-0 to 0-3 on those games. You know, it's going to run like that occasionally over the course of a long season, but I don't think I've ever seen a spectacular meltdown like that. Anyway, tonight, I just added one play, which is a -1 on a big favorite. A -1, for those who don't know what that is, that's a split where I'll take half the unit on the money line and half the unit on the runs line. I'll do that with big favorites that I like. So I did that in a game, and that isn't online yet. What is online is my game of the week, and the games of the week and month have been absolutely fantastic. This is going back quite a ways now because there's only one a week. 20 wins and 7 losses. That's a great record. And the game I have tonight is legitimately the strongest play I've seen so far this season in baseball, and it's only $25 right now at jimfeist.com. So that is definitely worth your while. And I'm actually issuing a guarantee on this as well. It's got to win, or you'll get whatever my best play is on Saturday at no cost. But this game is going to win. Okay, so let's go to a brief recap of last night. You know, I mean, that was embarrassing. I didn't have a play. I know it worked out for you, Jim. You had the under, which, thanks to the Rockets' complete inability to shoot the ball or even try, was a really easy winner. San Antonio certainly did their part, but how is it possible for a team to lose by that many points at home when the other team is missing, without question, their best player and probably their second best player in Leonard and Parker? That was the worst non-effort maybe that I've ever seen in a professional basketball game.
Well, Dave, a couple points. First of all, you got Popovich, who is a great coach, and maybe the best coach in all of sports. He really knows how to get it done. He knows how to put pieces together and get everybody working as a team. You have these players, they're human beings to begin with. I mean, Harden, he's a great basketball player. I don't think he's anywhere near a LeBron James. And he doesn't play both ends of the floor. He's a terrible defensive ball player. So Kawhi Leonard is far better than he is because he plays both ends of the floor and he does it well. So, yeah, Harden's a scorer. He's smooth. He looks good when he's doing it. But he's not a leader. He's not a guy that you're going to, put all your chips on and say, okay, this guy's going to take you to the house, and no matter what happens, he's going to buckle down. He's not Larry Bird. He's not Magic Johnson. He's not those guys. But I'm not sure there's many of them today. It's a different society we live in. But bottom line is,
there's one in Cleveland. I can tell you that.
They lost. I'm sorry. What'd you say?
I said there's one in Cleveland.
Yeah, there
LeBron
is.
James has got all those leadership qualities.
But he developed them. He came out of high school early. He goes right to the pros. I think there was a lot of pressure on him when he went first.
Sure. He had to mature.
Yeah,
nobody steps right in, and I mean, and even Magic Johnson, as great as he was, off the court, he was not as mature, and obviously that created a problem for him that we're all familiar with. I mean, everything you're saying, I agree with, but there is still no way to excuse a complete lack of effort last night on the part of the Houston Rockets. I mean, that was. It's one thing if they lose the game, no big deal, but that was a lack of integrity and a lack of professionalism, and they deserve every bit of the criticism they're getting today.
I mean, I listen to Adam Shine sometimes in the morning. I think he does a really great job on Mad Dog, and he roasted Harden.
They should get roasted.
I mean, my God, it was. But the thing is, these guys are paid a lot of money for playing a game, and they have the on their back they have the city, they got the fans, they got their owners, they got their coaches, they got the other players, and then they show up, and I mean, I don't know how you explain it. They didn't play. We talk about what he didn't do. He had 2 shots in the first half. He had 5 turnovers. 2 shots. This is a guy that should shoot the ball 40 times a game. He shot the ball 11 times for the game. He never made a layup. The whole team had 9 2-point shots the whole game. Scores, 9 2-point scores in the whole game. I mean, it's an embarrassment for the league.
It is.
I think personally, I don't know how the league does financially. I don't know, but it's an embarrassment to the league.
Listen, these playoffs have been absolutely horrible. I'm not talking from I know you're doing great, and I've actually done well playing my little spot plays where I take teams that are down in the first half. So I got no complaints from a money standpoint in terms of the profits, but the quality of play is disgraceful, and
it is.
They better get serious. You can kill a golden goose, and I'll tell you something. When you compare, and I understand this segment of our audience that doesn't watch hockey at all, well, that's your loss, because if you want to see pros, real pros that go out there and play hard for 60 minutes and maybe more in overtimes, then watch the NHL. Nobody quits in that league. If you do, you get your head slammed through the boards. The NBA has got a problem right now, and they need to fix it. All right, anyway, let's look at the Celtics and Wizards. And,
this is another one, Dave. I mean, look at what the Wizards did in this last game. I mean, it was first of all, every home game has been won by the home, or every game has been won by the home team. Home team is 9-0 ATS. This series has been very consistent in that way. But when they go up to Boston the other night, I'm talking about the Wizards. I mean, the game was over in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, Boston made, and this was coaching, and then no readjustment. There was an adjustment early on by Brad Stevens. They clearly did their homework going into the game, and they actually made Thomas a decoy early on because everybody was swarming to Thomas. So it's leaving Horford wide open for like 25-foot, and he's knocking him down. And that was the end of the. And this is again, I guess this ties into what we were just talking about in terms of lack of effort. Washington basically said, "Okay, you win," and that was the end of the game. I got to tell you, this league really sucks right now. Okay,
it does. Well, Dave, I talked about it all year in the regular season. It's 82 games that are comparable to the NFL preseason.
Yeah, I know.
And then you put half the teams into the playoffs. It's bogus. I think the biggest problem in the league, first of all, anytime you have the unions that are too strong and they make the rules, you're going to destroy everything anyway. But be that as it may, you cannot have these players decide that they're going to make these super teams. Yeah. Because what you have is you have over 30 clubs that are meaningless, and you have two clubs that we're all waiting for, and hopefully the Warriors will meet the Cavs and we'll have potentially 7 good games. Who knows? That may not even happen. But you can't do that. Because what you do is you take the heart out of all the other cities that have no chance whatsoever. And we're seeing that. These teams are terrible. They don't put up an effort. They don't try to win when they get down 10, 12, 15 points. They never try. They quit. They just simply quit. It's a horrible product. And, I hate to say it, but we're seeing some of this in the NFL as well.
Yeah, but the NFL, the NFL, you don't know going in who's going to be there. I mean, the Patriots are the best organization, but it's still not, an automatic for them. It's a much better quality league. The NHL is better, and Major League Baseball is the best of all as far as competition goes. Anyway, some numbers from tonight, and if you want to go against them, go ahead. The home teams won 9 straight against the spread. 13 out of the last 16 when these two teams meet. Favorites 12-2 against the spread. I mean, all the numbers point to Washington here. And you can ask any bookmaker in the country. They're all going to get the same thing tonight. They're going to get Washington money and they're going to get over money. And if things keep going the way they've been going, they'll be paying out again. Now, the NBA playoffs have not been real good for the bookies.
I got to tell you something, Dave. I don't know if you know this stat. Teams are 0-10 when in this year right now. 0-10 when facing elimination at home this postseason.
Wow. Well, maybe the Celtics will get him.
I have never seen anything like that.
Well, that falls into the quick there. I mean, I'm not playing the game because, and here's why. Boston did make that adjustment last game. I don't know if Washington's smart enough to readjust. They certainly weren't in the game the other night. And that's that. If they fall behind, they might just mail it in like Houston did last night. So I'm staying out of the game, Jim.
Well, I'm not, Dave. I have, the thing you mentioned early that I've been doing very well in baseball and basketball, especially right now. It's been incredible. And what I've been able to do, and I don't know, maybe it's in my DNA. I'm not sure, but I've been able to predict which team is not going to show up and how it's going to affect the game. And it's been working. So I'm going to continue that tonight because I do have a very strong opinion on this game.
All right. Let's look at a baseball game. It's a great rivalry getting underway. The Cubs and the Cardinals. This is one of the best rivalries in sports, and the Cubs continue to scuffle. They're at 500. They're going to get hot at some point, but they're not right now. The Cardinals are on fire. They got off to a terrible start. Well, now they're in first place, 19-14. They're playing good ball. The matchup here is Eddie Butler against Mike Leake. Well, there's not much negative you can say about Mike Leake right now. He has been absolutely spectacular. Now, he's got a bad history against the Cubs. They knocked him all over the place last year. But, boy, Mike Leake this season has been great. Eddie Butler's on the mound for the Rockies, and he's a guy who was a very highly regarded prospect, but it never worked out for him with the Rockies, and they gave up on him. The Cardinals have been working with him to get him to pitch more on a downward plane, and it seems to be working. He has pitched extremely well in AAA this year at Iowa. 1-0, 1.17 in 5 starts. Those are good numbers. So I would be a little reluctant to just automatically say, well, Eddie Butler, he was a bum in Colorado. I would not be surprised if he puts forth a good performance tonight. And with the way Leake's pitching, I'd lean to the under in this game.
I can't argue with that, Dave. I mean, what we're seeing from Butler is, and that looks good, is what he did in AAA Iowa, and it's a little bit of a jump to the major leagues. And I wouldn't fault an underplay here. You're looking at 8.5 with the unders favored a little bit, so that even the money really hasn't done anything on the game. But we have seen a pretty good jump in the line where St. Louis, who, like you said, has been red hot, opened 126 and up to 141.
I think that's public. I don't think that's sharp money. I think it looks like an easy win for Mike Leake considering his form, and I think I'm not knocking the public for doing it. They might very well get it right, but I think that explains the line move.
Well, the Pinnacle, who's a pretty respected book, as you know, and we both talk about it all the time, they've gone from 123 to 133, and it looks like 58% of the plays. Now, this is one of those reverse line moves, Dave. 58% of the bets are on the Cubs, but the line has gone up.
I think that's at Chris, right?
No, well, yeah, that's a Chris number, yes.
Let me. I'm going to do a very quick check here with a couple of my books to see if that's similar across the board. This will take just 1 second. See, that's at Chris. I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing, and I've got 4 houses I can track, and I'm seeing about 2 out of every 3 tickets on the Cardinals.
Well, that is a big difference in percentages, yeah. Well, Chris runs a 20-cent line in baseball, so you're going to see a different clientele there. There's no question. But
I think there's a pretty. It's not a knock on them. It's just who they cater to. I think they're more of a square shop. But you know, the numbers definitely will vary. I don't have a strong play on the side. I want to see what Butler does, and you know, the Cubs are going to bust loose at some time. I'm not looking to play on the Cubs right now, but it's an awful good baseball team to be laying that kind of a price to.
Well, you know, there's a lot of people that go broke trying to chase teams that are champion quality.
Yeah. And
they just never wake up. They celebrated the off season. They're still celebrating a little bit. They're not doing terrible. They're only 17-17, but they could wake up. They could wake up. It's possible.
They've been better on the road. So you wonder if maybe they're a little too relaxed at home right now. It's going to change as the weather warms up. That lineup is still scary, and when it gets hot in the summertime and that wind's blowing out at Wrigley, watch out. You know, they're just treading water right now. My free play today is on the hockey game, Jim. Nashville opening in Anaheim. This should be a great series. But the Predators have some advantages going into tonight's game. They've got a little more rest. They're off an easier road thus far. Both teams had sweeps in the first round, but the second round was clearly much easier for Nashville as they dominated the Blues in winning that in 6 games. The Ducks, I mean, that was just an absolute war with Edmonton. So I think that maybe Nashville's a little fresher. And the one thing to remember in the NHL, we keep pointing this out, home ice advantage means less in the NHL than home court advantage or home field advantage in other sports. I don't know why that is, but it is. And you can, you know, through the history of the Stanley Cup playoffs, that's been, if you're betting on home ice advantage, you're not doing particularly well. And that's been a big story so far this year. So interesting to note, by the way, Nashville is the favorite in this series, even though Anaheim has the home ice advantage. And even tonight's game, it's basically a toss-up. I think Nashville rates a look tonight, and I went ahead and took plus 102 or 103. I don't remember which it was with the Nashville side. Let's see where that number is right now. Well, my numbers are not coming up for some reason.
What, you're looking for the price on tonight?
Yeah.
I'm looking at Pinnacle at 115.
115.
So Anaheim's 115. It's 5 over 18.
Yeah. So depending on where you bet, you're going to be right around even money. You want to try and find some place that's not killing you with a 20-cent line if possible. You can do better than that. So I like Nashville in the game and went with them tonight, Jim.
We do have a big game coming up on Sunday. We haven't talked about. We probably should open this up a little bit. Well, let's go back to Pinnacle. Pinnacle opens Golden State 10 minus -08, which means it's leaning to the 10.5 area, and the total 211, under favored a little bit, not by much. So that's kind of painted across the board. I see some 10.5s, but mostly 10s. Now the key here is you're going into the series without Parker, and Parker is a big key, and you're very healthy on the Golden State and very rested on the Golden State side. A 10, is that a big number, Dave? Is that too big a number? The Warriors have had a little trouble with the Spurs, but the question is, if you look at regular season stats, you got games where they didn't play their starters, they have injuries, they rest people. So I don't know that anything in the regular season matters at all, but the Warriors haven't done all that well ATS when they have a lot of rest, and a lot of these series have gone under the total. So it's early, and we also don't really know 100% how Kawhi Leonard is going to be since he didn't play last night.
I'm gonna wait and try and get more information on Leonard's status, or at least I'm sure he's going to play, but at least how healthy he is, whether he's practicing or not. It's not till Sunday, so I've got plenty of time to look at that. I don't know if I want to lay that many points to San Antonio, but it's very tough to try and take an underdog to cover in a game they lose, because it just isn't happening in the playoffs this year. So I might have to just sit this one out. I don't know that I want to lay that many points, Jim.
We've got a couple days to figure it out and read a lot and look at the coaching moves and stuff. The Warriors have been big favorites, and they haven't done that well in those situations. I mean, they back off. They've been, the one thing about last year, and I'll digress a little bit. Last year they set the record in the regular season for wins. I thought that was a huge mistake. John and I talked about it many times throughout the year. That was a stupid move, because when they got to the playoffs, and then they had a tough time in the playoffs with I think the final series against the Oklahoma City, because they went down 3-1 there and they came back and won it.
Right. They actually weren't even that sharp in the Portland series last year.
No, they weren't. So I think they burned themselves out in the regular season, which is basically meaningless. Like I said, it's preseason primarily. So then they get into the playoffs. They go to Cleveland. They get into the Cleveland setup, and they go up 3-1. Of course, then Draymond Green gets suspended for a game, and it sparked Cleveland to win that game and then win the next two, win the championship. This isn't the case this year. Kerr had learned his lesson, and we all hope his back gets better, well enough at least to come back and coach this fine team that he has. But he learned his lesson. He backed off a lot. He didn't pressure the guys. He didn't put in all those minutes. And now they have Durant. This is a stronger team this year than they were a year ago.
Oh, on paper, they're the best team in the league on paper.
Oh,
There's not even, and that's not a knock on Cleveland, but Golden State, if the Warriors are playing their game, nobody's beating them.
The only thing you got going for you, when you talk about the most valuable player, and I think it's kind of, there's only one individual player in the league that is absolutely heads and toes, everything above everybody else, and that's LeBron James. The man is unstoppable. He's not with the best team, but he is the best player.
Yep. No argument there.
So I don't know. I think Durant closed the book on being most valuable player in the last two games. I think he's shown everybody he's a fraud.
Of course, the award is voted only on the regular season. So
and that's too bad.
Yeah, I never understood that. It's never made a great deal of sense to me. But
you're basically saying most valuable player in preseason games is
Yeah, really.
Which, they don't even do that in the NFL. So anyway, enough of that. Dave, you got some free plays that you can give people?
Well, we have free plays every day and a recorded message. Just call 888-294-1970.
And you can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Jim Feist Sports. My dog of the month tonight at jimfeist.com, plus free plays every day if you text GAME, the word game, GAME to 25827.
And my game of the week is tonight, 20-7 on the last 27. And I absolutely love this game. $25 at jimfeist.com. Thanks for joining us, and we will be back on Monday with another edition of Proline Daily from Las Vegas.